I once thought this anime was the second season of Parasite, as it also features an ordinary person invaded by an alien being, granting them superhuman abilities. However, due to the protagonist, this anime is relatively less popular. Nonetheless, it still offers visual pleasure, and its profound themes and complex character development make it a thought-provoking work. The author is known for creating high-quality manga like Gantz. The protagonist, Inuyashiki, is a nearly 60-year-old office worker who is not respected by his family and lacks a purpose in life as he nears old age. One day, he goes for a medical checkup and is diagnosed with terminal stomach cancer, with about 3 months to live. Heartbroken, Inuyashiki goes to a park at night alone, holding a stray dog he found, and cries out loud. At that moment, a mysterious man appears, and the next second, they are engulfed in an explosion. Their bodies are completely destroyed. But to avoid disrupting Earth's order, alien technology resurrects them, intertwining their fates. The next morning, Inuyashiki thinks he just fell asleep the previous night. When he returns home, he inexplicably feels very thirsty. Walking on the street, he feels his body functions have returned to his youthful days, and even his presbyopia inexplicably disappears. When he returns to the hospital for a checkup, the doctors think the machines are malfunctioning because the x-rays show nothing. Back at home, Inuyashiki's body begins to emit steam, leaving him utterly confused and only able to talk to his dog. The stuff on the wall was all food Inuyashiki ate yesterday. Inuyashiki didn't know what had happened to his body, so he started to explore it. The next second, something miraculous happened. Not only did his head split open, but his body had been transformed into a machine. That night, Inuyashiki went back to the park to find out what exactly had happened. He was so sad, yet couldn't shed a tear, and remembered another person was there last night. Inuyashiki wanted to find that man, who must have gone through the same ordeal. Meanwhile, a homeless man was making a phone call. Despite the distance, Inuyashiki could hear him. In fact, Inuyashiki could hear everything around him. After the call, the homeless man was surrounded by a group of thugs who started bombarding him with fireworks. Initially, Inuyashiki didn't want to get involved, but seeing the helpless man, the kind-hearted Inuyashiki stepped forward. He used his body to block the fireworks and walked slowly towards the thugs. As the fireworks ended, the thugs attacked him with baseball bats and knocked Inuyashiki out. Thinking Inuyashiki was dead, the thugs planned to finish off the homeless man. At that moment, a camera popped out of Inuyashiki's head, locking onto them. He then emitted numerous lasers from his back at them. However, the kind-hearted Inuyashiki didn't kill them. Instead, he scanned their personal information, logged into social accounts, and posted a video of their misdeeds online, which was also broadcast on major media and TV stations. The thugs had no idea who had filmed them, but they knew they were ruined. On the other side, the homeless man woke Inuyashiki up. He was very grateful for Inuyashiki's life-saving action and promised to strive to keep living. Inuyashiki was moved, realizing he still retained his humanity. This high school student named Shishigami was the other person involved in the park explosion that night. After being reborn, he continued to attend school, but noticed that his friend Ando had been absent for several days. Concerned, Shishigami visited Ando's home. Shishigami is a big fan of manga and often finds himself moved to tears by touching scenes in the stories. During the visit, he remembered something and asked Ando if he knew about the recent serial killer, jokingly asking if it was him. Seeing Ando's disheveled appearance, Shishigami decided to discuss the manga Gantz, which is by the same author as the anime they liked. Then, Shishigami revealed that he was no longer the same person, demonstrating this by showing something unusual. Ando, thinking it was magic, wanted to know how it was done, especially since Shishigami's head could open up. Remaining calm, Shishigami suggested they go outside together. As Ando kept asking questions, Shishigami pointed to a crow on a utility pole and then imitated a gun with his hand, shooting down the crow. They later arrived at a subway station where Shishigami mentioned he had seen someone commit suicide. Ando didn't quite understand what Shishigami was saying but followed him into a large supermarket. Shishigami swiped his hand over a screen, changing all the TV displays to adult films. Ando was amazed, thinking Shishigami's magic was incredibly advanced, though Shishigami didn't argue and promised to show Ando one last program for the day. The Traffic Control Act frightened Ando. It was clearly no magic trick. However, Shishigami casually read his manga as usual, but Ando was certain that the person before him was no longer the Shishigami he knew. His abilities were too bizarre. Shishigami downplayed his actions and reminded Ando to go to school the next day. Ando was still in shock, questioning if such things could really happen. Suddenly, Ando asked Shishigami if he would ever kill him, which slightly hurt Shishigami. Unsure of Shishigami's true nature, Ando suggested that someone as powerful as Shishigami didn't need school anymore and should instead become a hero. Shishigami found the idea bothersome. He merely wanted Ando to continue attending school. Shishigami offered to deal with any bullies if Ando provided their names. Ando, timid by nature, hadn't considered this possibility. Before leaving, Shishigami said he would pick Ando up for school the next day. Ando was still in disbelief, feeling as if he was living in a dream, yet recognized that Shishigami was still kind to him. Despite wondering if Shishigami was still the same person inside, Ando recalled how the old Shishigami would cry over a dead pet, yet now he could kill so calmly. Ando's mind was completely overwhelmed. At that moment, Ando remembered something Shishigami had said. Lives of others, except for friends and family, don't matter to him. This meant that Shishigami didn't care if unrelated people died. However, he would be more saddened by the death of an anime character he cared about. On his way home, Shishigami impulsively decided to do something drastic. He entered a stranger's home and killed the woman there. After killing her, Shishigami felt nothing. He then went to the bathroom to kill the man who was bathing with his child. The man instinctively protected his child and pleaded with Shishigami to spare them, but his pleas were in vain, and the child drowned in his father's arms. Just then, the last member of the family, the only surviving daughter, returned home. Seeing the scene, she immediately understood what had happened and sat down, weeping bitterly. Surprisingly, Shishigami attempted to comfort her. Despite not wanting to die, the girl's fate was sealed. Her screams were heard by Inuyashiki, a kind-hearted man, who rushed to the scene. By the time he arrived, the screams had stopped, leaving only a dead body. Inuyashiki entered the house to check and found Shishigami still there. Mistakenly thinking there was only the old man left in the house, Shishigami ruthlessly shot him. As Shishigami was about to leave, Inuyashiki, who had been shot, surprisingly walked out unharmed. This confused Shishigami. Just as Inuyashiki was about to confront him, Shishigami flew away. Inuyashiki had finally met someone like him but regretted not saving the victims, even feeling guilty about the children. He resolved to stop Shishigami in the future. Meanwhile, Shishigami was puzzled, as the old man he shot in the head had not died. He then visited Ando's house again, where Ando had skipped school. Ando accidentally cut his finger, and Shishigami quickly healed it by holding it. He still cared deeply for his friend. Elsewhere, after work, Inuyashiki saw some thugs abducting a man. He followed them quietly. As the thugs were about to harm the man, Inuyashiki intervened, telling the man to run while he handled the thugs. The thugs underestimated Inuyashiki, but he quickly knocked one down, and the rest met the same fate. Inuyashiki saved the man, who thanked him for his life-saving help. While walking, Inuyashiki began listening to sounds around him and heard screams. After locating the source, he removed his clothes to activate his flight mechanism. After some trial and error, Inuyashiki managed to unlock his abilities. Singing the Astro Boy theme, he finally took off, though his control of flight was still shaky. With practice, he managed to reach his destination. Inuyashiki entered a fire scene without hesitation and quickly rescued a man. Learning the man's mother was still inside, he promptly saved her too, rescuing a family on the brink of death. Inuyashiki was overjoyed by the successful rescue. Meanwhile, Shishigami finally convinced Ando to go to school. However, as soon as Ando arrived, he was bullied by thugs who had tormented him before. Shishigami stepped in and stopped them. but they foolishly tried to bully him too. Under Shishigami's overwhelming power, they were forced to kneel and beg for mercy. Shishigami demanded they apologize to Ando and admit they were worthless. Despite this, Shishigami still broke one thug's arm. After school, Shishigami took Ando to the school rooftop and handed him a telescope. Shishigami then used remote attacks to kill the bullies, ensuring Ando no longer needed to fear them. However, this made Ando even more afraid. Facing the kind Shishigami, Ando confessed he could no longer be friends with a murderer. Shishigami had changed beyond recognition, acting mechanically and without emotion, though he still remembered their friendship. Frightened, Ando decided to part ways with Shishigami, who reminded him to keep attending school as he left. Elsewhere, Inuyashiki saw a cat run over by a car, which left him panicked and unsure what to do. Suddenly, his head emitted mechanical sounds, and he could see the cat's internal structure. Placing his hands on the cat and using alien technology, Inuyashiki miraculously revived it. Realizing his potential, he headed straight to a hospital. Thinking he could save dying animals, he wondered if he could also heal sick people. Inuyashiki immediately sprang into action, while Shishigami also began his own course of action. A girl was walking on the street when suddenly a few people kidnapped her. When she regained consciousness, she was naked on a bed. Behind her appeared a burly man who was about to assault her. The girl quickly pushed the man away and desperately fled outside. The man quickly followed her. She grabbed a knife for self-defense but was unable to harm the man with her skills. As she swung the knife randomly, she accidentally slipped and cut the man's arm. The girl took the chance to escape. Her boyfriend was about to call the police when he saw that the girl had already returned. At home, she recounted her ordeal and how she had managed to escape just in time. They were preparing to call the police again when they received a threatening text message stating that if they dared to call the police, their whole family would be killed. While they were frightened, gunshots were heard outside. It was the gang leader with his thugs at their door. The boyfriend asked what it would take to leave his girlfriend alone, offering to withdraw money from the bank the next morning. However, the gang leader, not needing money, grabbed the boyfriend's neck and was about to strangle him. At that moment, a thug was thrown into the room from outside. Inuyashiki had timely arrived. When Inuyashiki woke up again, the gang and the girl were gone, and the boy had been strangled to death. Inuyashiki thought he could save the boy, so he placed his hands on him. However, he couldn't revive someone who was already dead. Still, Inuyashiki didn't give up and continued performing CPR on the boy. Fortunately, his efforts were not in vain, and he managed to bring the boy back to life. Inuyashiki called the gang using the phone number from the earlier message, stating that he knew their location and was on his way to deal with them, ensuring they could no longer do harm. Inuyashiki used his flight device to reach the gang's hideout, where the gang members were unaware of what they were about to face. The gang leader called Inuyashiki out for a confrontation. Unconcerned about the accusations, the gang leader was puzzled as he had shot Inuyashiki in the head several times, yet he stood unharmed. Inuyashiki could not forgive his actions. Suddenly, the gang leader fired several shots at Inuyashiki, but he remained unharmed, completely baffling the leader. The leader then engaged Inuyashiki in hand-to-hand combat, but Inuyashiki knocked him down with a single punch. Despite this, the gang leader continued to threaten Inuyashiki, claiming that assassins would continually target him no matter where he hid. Inuyashiki only wanted to know the girl's whereabouts, but the gang leader continued to mock him. When Inuyashiki woke up again, all the gang members were still alive, but he had blinded them and crippled their limbs. This was Inuyashiki's punishment for their evil deeds. They were left unable to end their own lives, only able to reflect on their wrongdoings and regret their actions at the end of their lives. Later, Inuyashiki found the gang leader who knew it was the old man who had come. Unsure why Inuyashiki did this, the gang leader still insisted on threatening to kill him. Using his phone, Inuyashiki found out the girl's location and went to her. After calming the distressed girl, Inuyashiki took her away, and her boyfriend was still waiting for her. The boy pretended to call for help at home, loudly claiming he was about to be killed. The next second, an old man appeared at his front door. The boy couldn't believe that such a hero really existed. Ando knew that Inuyashiki had heard his cries for help and invited him in for a detailed discussion. Ando directly revealed that Inuyashiki was a robot, as his friend Shishigami was the same. Inuyashiki instantly knew he was the other person from the park. Both Ando and Inuyashiki were aware of Shishigami's actions, which were unforgivable. Therefore, Inuyashiki decided to stop Shishigami. Ando asked Inuyashiki if the miracles happening in hospitals around Tokyo were all his doing. Upon hearing Inuyashiki's affirmative response, Ando was impressed, calling him a true hero. As Shishigami's friend, Ando asked Inuyashiki to stop him and offered his full support. Inuyashiki made his stance clear, acknowledging that he might end up killing Shishigami. Ando knew Shishigami had changed, and if it came to that result, it was unavoidable since Shishigami had become a mechanical monster. Realizing his mistake, Ando quickly clarified that Inuyashiki was not a mechanical monster. Inuyashiki just didn't want to admit it, but was well aware of his current physical constitution. Inuyashiki now wanted to save more people. Ando believed Inuyashiki was more human than humans themselves and promised to help him to the fullest. After making their agreement, Inuyashiki left. Elsewhere, as Shishigami was saying goodbye to his classmates, a girl ran up to confess her feelings to him, but he politely rejected her. Then, he visited his father's new family, where he celebrated his younger brother's birthday with the family. From this, Shishigami appeared not to be entirely bad. After leaving, Shishigami returned home and received life-changing news. His mother had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer that had spread to her lungs, and she only had a month left to live. She had already asked Shishigami's father to take care of her son, but Shishigami couldn't accept his mother's impending death. Meanwhile, Ando and Inuyashiki were experimenting with alien technology. Inuyashiki fired numerous lasers, creating a large hole in the ground. The next day, Shishigami received great news from his mother. Her cancer cells had miraculously disappeared, and she had spontaneously healed, thanks to Shishigami's intervention. Additionally, Shishigami received an unexpected windfall of 3 million yen and planned to move to a new place with his mother, determined to take good care of her. They soon moved into their new home. On the other side, Inuyashiki and Ando went to a hospital to try to save as many lives as possible. Ando regarded Inuyashiki as a true hero as they worked tirelessly to help the patients. Meanwhile, Shishigami accidentally cut his finger and was pleased to feel human again. His mother, watching a news report about a serial killer, wondered who could raise such a person. Shishigami asked what she would do if he were the killer, to which she responded that she would die with him. At school, classmates were discussing the serial killer. Shishigami also encountered Ando there. Later, Shishigami and his mother visited their old home, where he reflected on the value of family ties. Shishigami resolved to stop killing, but he knew it wasn't as simple as just deciding to quit. The boy had a remarkable ability. He could kill through a screen. Just before this, the police found Shishigami's old residence and surrounded it. Since his mother was there, he chose not to kill, but instead shook off all the police and flew away. With nowhere else to go, Shishigami temporarily settled in a park. The media began reporting on Shishigami's killings. At that moment, Shion, the girl who had confessed to Shishigami, appeared and took him to her home, where only her grandmother lived. The television news was filled with reports of Shishigami's crimes, and he was officially wanted. When Shion returned home from school and saw Shishigami sitting on the floor in a daze, she thought none of it mattered. Shion's parents had died of cancer early, and she, too, was not expected to live long due to a genetic condition. Shion liked Shishigami despite knowing he was the criminal, hoping the real culprit would be found soon. After having dinner with them and waiting for them to fall asleep, Shishigami contemplated killing them. However, because of a promise made to his mother, he did not go through with it. So, the next day, Shishigami continued to share meals with them as usual. Elsewhere, Ando found Inuyashiki again and figured out a way to communicate with him remotely. Ando pried open his fingernail to insert a connector, projecting the phone screen right before Inuyashiki's eyes. The two immediately began a test call. Inuyashiki then flew up to 10,000 meters, surprisingly maintaining the call even from space. Meanwhile, Shishigami was completely overwhelmed. Since the public could not find Shishigami, the media turned their attention to his mother. Though Shishigami was deeply upset, the internet did not forgive his mother but instead vilified her extensively, blaming her for not raising her son properly. Knowing Shishigami's personality, Ando felt a sudden unease. In a tragic turn, Shishigami's mother, seeking atonement for her son, committed suicide at home. Learning of his beloved mother's coerced death, Shishigami was overwhelmed with grief, pushing him further into darkness. The next day, the media surrounded the home of Shishigami's father, pressing him for information about Shishigami. They were unaware that the deadly Reaper was about to arrive. Shishigami did not kill his father but turned and flew into the sky. Walking on the streets, Shishigami began investigating the reasons behind his mother's suicide. After gathering a lot of information and reading extensively, he identified his targets. Faced with these provocateurs, Shishigami vowed to kill them all. The next second, one internet troll received a call from Shishigami. Soon, Shishigami's image appeared on his computer screen. Thinking it was just a recording or a prank, the troll mocked Shishigami and did not take him seriously. Watching the troll's disdainful expression, Shishigami fired a warning shot, but the troll remained unbothered. The next second, Shishigami shot him in the leg. Thinking he was about to die, the troll confessed that he had done nothing himself, but was just following someone else's instructions to harass others. However, Shishigami presented evidence exposing his lies. The troll then hid where Shishigami couldn't see him and continued to taunt. Unable to tolerate it any longer, Shishigami shot and killed him. After this incident, Shishigami posted the video of his conversation with the internet troll online for viewers to see. He also declared his intention to avenge his mother and kill all involved through the internet. A massacre targeting internet trolls was about to begin. What kind of despair must a man experience to choose to jump onto the tracks and take his own life? The moment came so suddenly that no one could react. As everyone was engulfed in panic, Shishigami slowly walked towards the man's body. At that moment, Shishigami felt as if he was bathed in sunlight, which made him feel human again. Shishigami woke from a dream, but it was not a dream. It was a real experience from his past. That evening, Shion came to Shishigami's room. Noticing that Shishigami had been sleeping at home for a long time, Shion said it would have been better if the real criminal had been caught sooner. Then people would not treat Shishigami this way. However, Shishigami confessed to her that he was indeed the murderer and had killed countless people. Shion could not believe it. Shishigami stood up and affirmed it was true. He had been breaking into strangers' homes weekly and killing entire families. Moreover, he mentioned he should have been dead and had become a non-human entity. That night, Shishigami felt he lost a certain sensation in his brain. Now, he was mechanical, metallic, and lacked any human heart, resembling a walking corpse. Recalling the time he saw someone commit suicide by lying on the tracks while others ran and screamed, Shishigami felt enlightened. His mind was filled with the urge to kill, feeling that only through killing could he find a sense of existence, and only then did he feel like he was still a living human. Shishigami's body no longer bleeds, and though he believes he is no longer human, this troubles him deeply. However, Shion finds it hard to believe. Even seeing the flight apparatus on Shishigami's back, she thinks it's just magic. So he takes Shion outside and brings her up to an altitude of 10,000 meters. There, Shishigami declares that from now on, he will be an enemy to the whole world. Shion cries continuously, not out of fear of death, but from the fear of Shishigami leaving their home. She wants to stay with Shishigami forever and wishes for her grandmother to live well. Her words pull Shishigami out of the darkness, and he decides to stay by her side. Shion asks if Shishigami will turn himself in, but that is impossible, as he would surely be killed. Shion is torn. Shishigami has killed many people and destroyed the lives and dreams of others. She cries out of sadness, not because she wants Shishigami to do anything specific, but because she feels helpless. A ray of morning sunlight awakens Shishigami's kindness. He decides that from this moment, he will save as many lives as he has taken. Shishigami takes Shion's hand, which feels as warm as his mother's. Unexpectedly, Shishigami finds himself falling in love. So Shishigami immediately began his rescue plan. He found a single woman with advanced cancer who had lost all hope in life, but did not want to die. Shishigami simply held her hands and told her to get a checkup the next day. The next day, the woman's complexion miraculously improved. Then came the second person. He helped a long paralyzed elderly person stand again. The third followed. These people did not understand Shishigami's methods, but this was all in keeping with his promise to Shion. Everyone touched by Shishigami, those whose lives were close to ending, could now continue living. In one day, Shishigami saved 53 people. This news spread quickly on social media. Shion was very happy and encouraged Shishigami to continue helping others. Faithful to his promise, Shishigami tirelessly continued to aid the sick. There were no more reports of him killing. Instead, the media were filled with stories of a divine being saving humans. Everyone thought Shishigami was dead, not knowing that he was alive in a new role. Shion joined him daily on his outings. Now, Shishigami was experiencing the happiest time of his life. But one wonders, how long can these days last? The girl got up in the middle of the night and went to the kitchen for a drink of water. Suddenly, numerous infrared beams targeted her, and she was confronted by a multitude of SWAT officers. Shion tried to warn Shishigami to flee, but the officers opened fire immediately. Shishigami managed to escape with Shion and her grandmother. He was deeply saddened that they had to suffer because of him. After ensuring their safety, he left them. Elsewhere, Ando found Inuyashiki again and unexpectedly learned that Mari, a beautiful girl from his school, was Inuyashiki's daughter. Ando had fallen for her at first sight. One day after school, Mari saw Ando with his father and discreetly followed them. To her surprise, they went into a hospital. Mari hurried to follow them into a room, where she discovered a shocking secret. Pulling out her phone, she searched for recent miraculous events at the hospital, which left her even more astonished. Watching Ando and Inuyashiki leave, Mari quickly followed them again. Around the corner, she was amazed to see her father flying in the sky. On her way home, Mari was lost in thought and appeared very tired upon arrival. Shortly after, Inuyashiki returned home. Mari, unsure of what to say to her father, remained silent. Mari loved drawing comics, but her mother was very strict, insisting that Mari focus on her studies and attend university. Her mother also wanted Inuyashiki to persuade her, but instead, he supported Mari's interests. Mari immediately promised to study hard. The scene shifts to what appears to be the deceased Shion. Surprisingly, Shion and her grandmother are still alive. Meanwhile, Shishigami has started his revenge plan. Just by showing his face, he terrifies the police, causing them to sweat profusely. In an instant, the room is filled with casualties. The commotion downstairs attracts the attention of two veteran police officers. They rush to the scene, only to find the assailant slaughtering their colleagues. The veteran officers open fire on Shishigami, and the other police join in. While the officers are still trying to locate Shishigami's gun, Shishigami quickly responds.
Stand by!
The last remaining officer asks Shishigami what he intends to do. Shishigami coolly replies that since they were going to capture him anyway, he might as well come to them directly, and he spares the officer's life so he can witness the disappearance of humanity. From this moment, Shishigami decided to become an enemy of the world. The special forces outside had been waiting for a long time. As a sniper shot Shishigami to the ground, others opened fire simultaneously. Just as they were checking if Shishigami still showed signs of life, alien technology reactivated. He floated into the air and fired numerous lasers, killing all the police officers present. Inuyashiki, at home, learned about all this through the sounds he heard. At that moment, a heavy rain began to fall. The rainwater flowed into Shishigami's mouth, reviving him once again. As the police saw Shishigami regaining consciousness, they started shooting again, but Shishigami immediately killed them.
まだだよ。
Shishigami finally decided to destroy his country. He first took control of media screens nationwide and declared it a war between himself and the state. Shishigami hated his own country, so every citizen was his enemy. He vowed to continue killing until no one was left alive. While everyone initially thought it was a foolish prank, Shishigami immediately demonstrated his seriousness through his actions. The news was still reporting that the assailant might be sniping from a rooftop and urged people to take shelter indoors. Meanwhile, Ando quickly contacted Inuyashiki to confirm that Shishigami was behind the attacks. They decided to take action to stop him. Unbeknownst to them, Shishigami had already called the TV station, expressing his disdain for the host, who, unaware of the danger, continued to provoke and even threaten Shishigami. Ando came up with a plan and swiftly informed Inuyashiki. Just as Shishigami was preparing to target his next victim, Ando's voice came through a mobile phone, warning people to stay away from their phones. Shishigami was using mobile phones as a medium to kill. This warning helped a young boy escape unharmed. Once the news spread, masses of people followed suit and discarded their phones to save their lives, leaving Shishigami momentarily without a way to continue. He quickly investigated and discovered Ando was behind the disruption. Surprisingly, Ando had sided with the police, which deeply saddened Shishigami. Despite Ando's efforts to spread the warning with Inuyashiki's help, Shishigami was already planning his next move. Inuyashiki could no longer stand by idly. He decided to personally search for Shishigami, who had already completed his daily quota of killing 100 people. Ando stopped the agitated Inuyashiki, pointing out that rushing there would be pointless, as Shishigami's massacre had ceased for the day. Shishigami felt betrayed by his friend Ando and considered him an enemy from then on. The TV stations continued to report on Shishigami's actions, banning the carrying of mobile phones and other electronic devices. However, many students and office workers ignored the warnings, believing that death would not come to them. Shishigami contacted Shion via radio. Shion tried to persuade him to surrender, but Shishigami was now a national enemy. If captured, he faced endless torture. Online opinions about Shishigami varied. Some saw him as a god, while most thought he was mentally ill. There were even mockeries suggesting that his cessation of killing meant he had been arrested by the police. However, Shishigami had already begun his next move. A passenger plane carrying hundreds of people fell from the sky and crashed into the city center. Before the citizens could react, several more uncontrollable planes appeared in the sky, one of which headed straight for Mari. Surveying the destroyed city before him, Inuyashiki rebuked Shishigami for going too far, but in the next second, Shishigami forced one plane to crash into another. Just when everyone thought it was the end, Inuyashiki arrived just in time. However, it was a struggle for him alone to control the situation. The plane was out of control, and Inuyashiki could only do his best to keep it balanced. Shishigami realized someone was thwarting his efforts. With Inuyashiki's utmost effort, the plane safely landed, and everyone was relieved to be saved. As Inuyashiki emerged from beneath the plane, he heard his daughter Mari calling for help. Mari was completely panicked and could only ask her father to come quickly, giving him her location. Just as Inuyashiki was about to go and rescue his daughter, Shishigami suddenly appeared. At this moment, Shishigami realized that Inuyashiki was the same as him. Inuyashiki pointed out that they were the only two people in the park at that time. Shishigami didn't understand why Inuyashiki was stopping him, questioning why they weren't exactly the same. Inuyashiki explained that he only feels human when he is saving other people's lives. This left Shishigami stunned, and he began to cry. Inuyashiki empathized with Shishigami, wondering if Shishigami only felt human when he was taking lives. Shishigami did not respond. Inuyashiki then mentioned that his daughter needed help and asked Shishigami not to hinder him, which only made Shishigami more infuriated. Shishigami fired an automatic tracking laser that hit Inuyashiki. However, Inuyashiki was also made with alien technology, so their capabilities were similar. But at that moment, he was not focused on fighting. He just wanted to quickly rescue his daughter. Nevertheless, Shishigami relentlessly pursued him, forcing Inuyashiki to fight while retreating. After finally gaining some distance, his daughter called again, expressing her love in what might be her last moments, which completely panicked Inuyashiki. He decided to deal with Shishigami first. As the intense battle ensued, both fell into a coma, and their alien AI programs took over the fight, significantly enhancing their combat abilities. Inuyashiki used a blind spot to dodge an attack, then jumped behind Shishigami. He twisted Shishigami's head and tore off his arms. As Shishigami fell to the ground, the battle ended. Inuyashiki rushed to his daughter's location, but found her unconscious. Seeing his daughter seemingly lifeless, Inuyashiki was in denial. Remembering the beautiful moments with his daughter, he wasn't ready to give up and immediately started CPR. Just as he was about to leave to save others, his daughter suddenly began to breathe. Inuyashiki quickly used alien technology to check her condition and managed to save her life. He then took her to a safe place before going out to rescue other victims. Throughout the night, he moved across the city, saving countless lives. Inuyashiki's philosophy was simple. Even saving just one more person was worth it. Unexpectedly, Shishigami, who once sought to destroy humanity, ultimately chose to save it. After Inuyashiki disabled his hands, Shishigami sought out Ando again and admitted his defeat to Inuyashiki, surprised by his strength. Ando, fearing Shishigami came to kill him, mentioned he had bought the latest comic book that week. Shishigami immediately sat down to read the manga series. Shishigami asked Ando if he was still attending school and if he had been bullied recently. However, Ando excused himself and called Inuyashiki, informing him that Shishigami had come to his place. Inuyashiki said he would arrive soon. Shishigami then questioned Ando about the old man who kept stopping him, and Ando confessed that Inuyashiki was on his way and that he was prepared for the possibility of being killed, believing Inuyashiki could handle Shishigami. But Shishigami clarified that he was just visiting his friend. Ando felt that the Shishigami before him was no longer the same person, but merely a killing machine. Seeing Ando's assessment, Shishigami burst into tears and left before Inuyashiki could arrive. The tragic turn of events for Shishigami was due to the alien technology's transformation of his killing core. Originally, after being accidentally killed by an alien creature, both Shishigami and Inuyashiki were transformed by the creature's mechanical weapons. However, the alien creature, fearing detection, lazily used different mechanical cores, which led to the differing personalities in their transformations. But the peace did not last long. News reports announced that a large asteroid was approaching Earth and that the world would be destroyed in less than 3 days. Humanity was facing a massive disaster. Following this news, people acted wildly, indulging in their final moments. Facing this catastrophic event, all humanity could do was pray, even though it might be meaningless. Nonetheless, Inuyashiki stated he would try to stop it, even if his efforts proved futile. Before departing, Inuyashiki drank a large amount of water and then encountered his daughter Mari. He told her he was going to destroy the asteroid. Mari did not want her father to leave, knowing he might not return. But for the sake of his family and humanity, Inuyashiki set off. However, the asteroid was much larger than he had anticipated. Still, he was determined to try. Ando wanted Inuyashiki to give up and spend the final moments with his family, but Inuyashiki refused to quit. He kept trying to destroy the asteroid, but his efforts were ineffective, and he ran out of water in his stomach. At this moment of despair, Shishigami appeared. He came with the same goal: to prevent the asteroid from striking Earth, because he also had people he wanted to protect. Shishigami figured out through brain simulation that self-destructing could alter the asteroid's trajectory to bypass Earth. All Inuyashiki needed to do was help him initiate the self-destruction by pressing on his eyes. Then, Inuyashiki asked Shishigami why he had been in the park that day, but he did not answer. After the explosion, Inuyashiki found that apart from a slight reduction in size, the asteroid remained largely unchanged. He realized then that the power of one person alone was insufficient. He simulated 3 strategies in his mind and concluded that only self-destruction could completely destroy the asteroid. Determined to protect his loved ones, Inuyashiki did not hesitate and resolutely pressed the self-destruct button. His sacrifice shattered him completely, but it saved the Earth.